Good afternoon and welcome to our first In the Know Now event. I am Lurlin Latif, Head of Media and Market Intelligence at Mediamark, your host for today. Many of you know me as I've been in the industry for some time now. Oracle Airtime Sales, as it was called back in the day, gave me the break into the glamorous world of television broadcasting. I spent nearly 2 excitement-filled decades there, during which time the TV landscape changed immeasurably. Free-to-air competition grew with the launch of ETV. Community TV stations were licensed. 4 new commercial licenses were issued, but only 1 was launched. Oracle became DSTV sales, and the number of channels we offered kept growing. Joining Mediamark over a year ago has meant that I have had to expand my understanding of whole repertoire to new media choices and brands. That move to Mediamark was a solid reminder of the need to keep learning and upskilling. I'm particularly excited and privileged to be a part of Mediamark's upskilling and knowledge sharing initiative called In the Know Now. We are starting this initiative with radio because this medium has pioneered the first post-SARF currency with the sample frame reflecting the real South Africa. But we will be expanding our offering into digital TV and as well as mobile, as media expands its representation of different media types. As you can see, the initiative offers a variety of platforms. This webinar is our very first learning event. You can find out more about our events on our website, In the Know Now, at mediamark.co.za. There are some housekeeping items we need to cover before we start. We have allowed time for questions, but instead we'd ask that you email any questions through to info@intheknownow.co.za and we'll be sure to get back to you ASAP. We will also be uploading this webinar onto our In the Know website for you to refer to when and if you need to. Starting with the introductions to our speakers today, we are attempting to firstly take you through a swift orientation of RadioMax and cover the new BRC RAM data. I'm delighted that Jennifer Daniel, Managing Director, Africa at Talma, is your RadioMax guide today. Jennifer returned to Talma in 2010 after holding high-level market research audience strategy positions in the media industry. I particularly remember her as a formidable competitor at ETV, hey Jen, as it grew to second largest in the market. Over the last year, Talma has partnered closely with the BRC as well as TNS to ensure that the new RAM currency was released timelessly.
Thank you, Lurlin. What is it they say about living in exciting times?
Absolutely, Jen. Britta Reid joins us as well today. Over the years, she has worked both not only with media owners, but also with media agencies. Now an independent consultant, Britta has been closely involved with my team's scrutiny and initial analysis of the BRC data.
Yes, Lurlin, having to come to grips with completely new data certainly qualifies as interesting times. At the outset, Jennifer, when I visited the Telmar offices and you told me that there was a new radio planning program, I groaned. There was this avalanche of data, lots of competing demands for analysis work within Mediamark, and only 24 hours in the day. The last thing I needed was to have to learn a new program.
Okay, we all know how rapidly our media world is changing. Telma's committed to assisting the media industry to keep tabs on these changes. We listen to what our clients tell us about their needs, so we introduced RadioMax because it has distinct time-saving benefits and useful new features, which I'll show you today. It's really an evolution of RBP.
So I discovered, much to my relief. Even though I was a bit rusty on RBP, literally after looking over your shoulder for a few minutes, as you pointed out the new features, I felt quite confident, and I've been using it painlessly ever since.
Great, so let's get started. This is going to be a lightning tour to show you that it is easy to switch to RadioMax. Not a comprehensive click-by-click demonstration. I'll highlight what you need to know to get going and point out the benefits of the program. Once you've clicked into the program, the opening screen looks different, but don't panic. It's fresher and easier to work with. Buttons down the side guide you through the necessary steps to create your plan. The Survey Periods button will be highlighted. You simply select the survey you wish to use, and if you're planning for the future, you'll definitely be using the new currency. Britta will make some comments on that later. You can check the fieldwork dates easily, and after selecting your survey, you'll be prompted to save the campaign, which is advisable to do. So let's move on to the Briefing tab, where you can fill in all your campaign information. Should you wish to change these options, go to Tools, Preferences, and Briefing. You can select your campaign dates 3 different ways. Select start and end dates, or highlight weeks, or simply drag and drop. If you go to the Spot Length tab, you will see the default is 30 seconds. Click on down arrow and you can select the required duration, either enter or right click. You've got the option to describe the spots as well as to add in flighting codes. And this means that you can accommodate sponsorships or bespoke opportunities. Clicking on the new target selection takes you into the familiar TNT coding screen, which will default to the survey you've selected. Of course, in the TNT screen, we can edit and tidy up our target market descriptions. A great new feature is that we can now create up to 3 target markets to run at the same time, a primary and secondary, and a reference one. You can group multiple target markets as well. You can choose the setup of your screen, and once you've selected your targets, you can see the audience statistics immediately graphed in the top corner. The station screen provides you with numerous selection criteria to determine which stations you wish to utilize in your plan. Our criteria might simply be reach, or it could be based on selectivity. Indexing the core target on a broader base to demonstrate the affinity of a station for a particular target market. You can customize what you see by clicking on the Columns tab. Remember that you can now move easily between target markets, but it's always a good idea to double check which one you're looking at. Once you've made your decision, tick the stations you have chosen. Before planning, you can set your discounts by going to Tools and select Discount or Surcharge. Use the plus and the minus sign to add or delete discounts or surcharges. Fill in the details you consider relevant. You may not want to specify the sales house, but station and start and end dates are important. You can reflect different discounts, surcharges by days of the week or day parts, if you have a structured deal. Remember to precede a discount with a minus and a surcharge with a plus. It is most important to remember that some radio broadcasters include agency commission in their rates and some don't. In fact, even those that do include COM do not necessarily offer standard 16.5%. And if you want to make meaningful cost per thousand or cost per point comparisons between stations and compare apples with apples, you will need to make the suitable adjustments at this stage. Remember that Telmar loads the rates according to the published rate cards. These are supplied by the broadcasters, and we can't change them. We're looking at a way to assist you by highlighting which broadcasters supply which types of rates. Let's move on to the planning screen and look at it by day to orientate ourselves. But do remember that you can also take a multiple brand view. The default option gives you all the media variables you need to consider: ratings, cost per point, and cost per thousand. The column chooser button allows you to reset these according to your requirements. Enter the spots as you would have done in the past. You just need to remember recalculate. If the button is red, just press it. A real benefit of RadioMax is that you can conveniently see all channels on one screen. You can also switch views to view by brand if you are planning multiple brands. To make life easy, you can copy spots from one station to another if the buying pattern is the same. This is not necessarily the way to get the best out of a plan, though. While you are planning, RadioMax automatically generates a number of charts showing the performance of the plan. These can easily be customized and simply exported. Here are two charts which might send you back to do some planning. Look at the unduplicated reach of Heart against our target market in the Western Cape, compared with the other commercial broadcaster station. Then look at analysis of station investment. Time for a rethink maybe and some modification. Besides the automatic charts, there are also the required reports such as detailed spot plans, campaign summaries, frequency distribution, and brand reports. Just click on the Reports tab and these are easily exportable. Yet another benefit is that broadcaster packages can simply be incorporated into your plans. And as we know, using packages can be a great way of saving and buying super efficiently. In fact, last year, Mediamark offered some middle market packages that were favorably received. Are there plans for doing more packages this year, Lurlin?
Absolutely, Jen. We have some really exciting developments on the way and some really great opportunities coming up. We'll keep everyone posted.
Great. Okay. And of course, lastly, there's also the optimizer function, which makes planning completely painless, as the system does all the hard grind on the basis of the station listenership stats and costs. Note that there are a range of optimization strategies from which you can choose. The program also gives you a range of parameters which you can apply to ensure a balanced campaign.
Of course, optimization gives you the scientific solution, but ignores the softer issues like listening mode. And we think that great planning melds both art and science. Thank you, Jennifer. I think that lightning tour should have everyone feeling that RadioMax is pretty simple to master. You just have to take the first click, guys. Rita, I'd love to hear a little bit more from you on your experience with working with the data.
Thanks, Lurlin. Well, stepping into a new world of data is actually not easy, especially for people who have developed a good feel for the previous data. What one has to do is to draw a line. We need to restart our trends because the sample frame and methodology deliver very different results. The release of the new ES will help us to contextualize the RAM data because it will give us the same overall population view as we have in this radio data. But let's talk about reporting cycles. There will be 5 reports a year. 4 of these will be currency reports released in 6-month rolling tranches. The latest is for July to December, and there are 2 earlier reports available. These releases have samples of around 33,000. One needs to use these reports for planning, buying, and trending. But there is also a full annual Jan to December report, with a significantly increased sample of around 69,000. This is the ideal place for deep dives into the minutiae of cross-device and location usage by individual station. This consolidated annual report also allows community and small base stations to build samples over a full year. This is now allowed for 52 more stations to make the cut, as long as a station has a minimum of 40 respondents, the data is released. So this is where you will find the most robust picture of small base and community stations. Before diving into the data, you need to be aware that there are numerous new demographic descriptors. A big one is area classification, which is based on Stats SA Census 2011 municipal and area types. There are now 3 categories: metro, small urban, and rural. Age brackets are more detailed. Marital status, education, and income levels are slightly different. On the matter of income, you need to be aware that if you are using income definitions in your target market, and therefore want everyone in the population signed to an income bracket, you have to use the modeled summary household income groups. The BRC website has a digestible technical report, frequently asked questions, and fortunately, a full list of area classifications, so it's useful to go there. Moving to the data, it is initially a bit disconcerting. And that's because the overall population numbers are similar to those we're used to seeing. So are the basic demographics of race and province, for example. This is because both the new RAM and the old RAMs use the same source of population data, and these demographics are used to weight the data. But LSM and income groups show a very different and harsher, but probably more realistic view of the population. The debate around LSM fitness for purpose is ongoing, so let's look at the income distribution on the right-hand side chart to appreciate how the affluent 20,000 plus group has halved, whilst the poorer under 5,000s have increased considerably. Individual station results will be very different, and so will schedule performance. Heavier and loyal listenership is due in part to the close monitoring of cross-device listening. People who listen to a particular station for longer periods means that we now will often see lower weekly reach. But the good news in many cases is that higher average quarter-hour listening will deliver higher GRPs and almost certainly increased frequency. If you see significant increases in frequency, don't be tempted to cut back. You need to understand what the new survey delivers. There's a challenge in this, making this conversion. And the only solution is to try to set aside some time. The new data requires that you develop a feel for it. The new patterns of listenership mean that you have to re-understand how your target market engages with its chosen stations. Maybe a bit time-consuming, but there are great opportunities to be found in previously overlooked areas. Lerlin, for example, has talked about the value of weekends recently. And of course, if you do take the time to understand those habits, then you will probably be a lot less inclined to use that useful spot copy feature on Radio Max. Sorry, Jennifer.
Thank you, Britta. That was absolutely great. Thank you definitely to Britta and to Jennifer. As mentioned earlier, please go to info@intheknownow.co.za and submit any questions. We'd really like to invite you to send your feedback. If there's anything you want to hear more about, if you have more any deeper questions you want to know more about, we'll be sure to get back to you ASAP. Thank you very, very much for your time.
No, I can talk.